Morocco, 2015, a 30-day tour with stops in Casablanca, Chefchaouen, Tangier, Rabat, Meknes, Fez, Marrakesh, and many others. We joined our overseas adventure tour in Casablanca on a cold and blustery day. Our first stop was to see the Hassan II Mosque. It seemed to be a popular place to visit and have your photograph taken. The Hassan II Mosque was inaugurated in 1993, and it took 30,000 workers 5 years to complete. It is the second largest mosque in the world and can hold 80,000 worshippers. We had signed up for the pre-tour, which took us to the city of Chefchaouen. On our way to Chefchaouen, we stopped at a city park and saw these colorful, traditional water purveyors. After a brief look at Casablanca, we were off to the city of Chefchaouen in the northern part of Morocco. It was a fairly long ride, and along the way we stopped for lunch. It was still cold and a little misty.
This marks the borders between the old Spanish colony area and the French area. So where we have been, Casablanca, Rabat and so on, it used to be under the French occupation. And starting from here onwards, Chefchaouen, Tétouan and so on, was in the past occupied by Spain.
Finally, we arrived in Chefchaouen. Chefchaouen is well known for its blue doors and walls. We checked into our riad, which is one of the old houses reconfigured to serve as a hotel. In the afternoon, Mohammed led us on a small tour of the city of Chefchaouen.
This is the building is called the Kasbah, and the Kasbah actually has different functions and forms in Morocco. The Kasbah in this city, it was a military fort. It was aimed at It was aimed at defending the city against any outside invaders. But when we go, for example, to Rabat, we visit Rabat and also Marrakesh, we'll also see Kasbahs. And there, the Kasbah is a district, a fortified district.
Here are some scenes of Chefchaouen accompanied by the call to prayer. While walking through town, we discovered this very charming trompe-l'oeil. Here is the group leaving for the optional tour to Tétouan. We decided to stay back because of the rain, and we did have a lovely lunch and had an opportunity to walk around in Chefchaouen. None of our riads had central heating, so the owners and workers all wore outdoor clothing to stay warm. From Chefchaouen, we drove to Tangier. We took a walking tour of Tangier, including the souk. We walked outside the Medina walls and tried to see Gibraltar across the straits. Later, we drove 11 kilometers outside of Tangier to the extreme northwestern corner of Africa. There we saw the Cape Spartel lighthouse. From Tangier, we took the bus back to Rabat, where we would meet up with the rest of the Overseas Adventure Tour group who were joining us for the 2 weeks. It was still raining when we reached Rabat, but we went out to see the remains of the Hassan Tower. Upon Yaqub al-Mansur's death in the year 1199, the building of this mosque was abandoned. Adjacent to the Hassan Tower is the Muhammad V Mausoleum, dedicated to the first king of independent Morocco. It was begun in 1971 and was constructed on the site where Muhammad V, returning from his exile in 1955, gathered thousands of his people to thank God for giving independence to Morocco. The Roman ruins, the Muslim ruins. On the site of this Roman city, Cella was built between 1310 and 1334. The second Marinid Sultan, Abu Yusuf Yaqub, built the mosque, and Abu Hassan, the Black Sultan, then built the enclosure wall and the gate. We visited the Kasbah Odaya along with its Andalusian garden. One day, we traveled from Rabat to Meknes, where we would see the granary and the Roman city of Volubilis, and then on to Fez. On the way, we stopped at the house of a local farmer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That looks like a little. I bet they're lovely. Okay. Okay. Don't want to overbeat those people.
Yes, yes. Are there more cats here than dogs?
More cats, yeah.
Yeah, I see many.
Meknes is the fifth largest city in Morocco and is one of the 5 imperial cities. We entered the city through the Bab Mansour Gate. Moulay Ismail became the Sultan of Morocco in 1672 and moved his capital from Fez to Meknes. and set about erecting palaces and other buildings to match his image of Versailles. Ishmael's famous stable housed 12,000 horses under a single roof supported by stone arches. An enormous granary adjoining the stable stored grain at a controlled temperature to enable both the horses and the residents to survive a long siege.
Problem of Dajis, they put a feather and they throw out. They lost their teeth because it's acid. It's disgusting, huh? That's a stepping stone because it was dirty here. Stepping stone. The water ablutions. Oh, clean, yeah. And in that time, the Romans, they used, if you've been to other Roman cities, they used the frogs in order to cover the noise. We call it forum, or in Greek, agora, the expression agoraphobia, fear of open spaces.
Royal Palace of Fez was built by the Marinid dynasty in the 14th century, and the area of this palace is about like 200 acres inside.
Donut to go?
Donut to go. Just like the USA, Dunkin' Donuts.
These are just like the same ones we had at Chef Showen.
I have no idea. We'll find out. They're hot.
So, when they bring the clay from outside, look, the clay is great after baking it to bake because it is greatly, there is 3 kinds of minerals. Put the calorie around the edge and center your fire. Down, first baking. Or we can say bisque firing. To listen the sound. Like brass. And here please they make traditional, historic Berber and Arabic decoration freehand. Then he make the rough cut by himself, then he give it to the second one to final the chef. They cut it in angles. Close up to see how they fix. Why? Because the chimney is open. Pour the colors upside down. What we see now is the back side of those tables.
Where? And put grout on it and then turn it over?
We leave it drying first. When they dry, it's like fun, it's easy to live.
Thank you.
Oops. As we explored the old Medinas, we often would visit madrasas, the old Quranic universities, and we would see mosques built deep within the Medina. The architecture and especially the ornamentation was exquisite. Much of it was done in marble or plaster. Ceilings were often made with cedar wood. The Fez Medina is famous for its tanneries. We had an opportunity to visit one.
That's the largest and the oldest tannery back to the 13th century. The first stage of work is to take the fur off. To take the fur off, we use quicklime and salt and pigeon dropping. Pigeon dropping has ammoniac natural. After that, we tan the leather in the vegetable tannin, in the brown. Then we do colors, the red, poppy, blue, indigo, green, mint, orange, henna. The only color we do by hand is the yellow from saffron and pomegranate skin. We do leather of sheep, goat, cow, and camel. You are interested in something that
Next, we traveled south, from Fez to the Ifrane ski resort. We were heading toward the high Atlas Mountains. Finding snow was a surprise to most of us, and finding this alpine-style village was another surprise.
Now we turn left to middle and Erfurt.
So are they using radar?
Yeah, using radar.
How fast they
Yeah.
fail with radar that they make them stop?
Yeah.
Do they have to pay right then and there?
Yeah. This is the eastern part of the high Atlas mountain. The summits you see, covered by snow, they are more than 3,000 meters high. These are the local restaurants. Skewers. Pursuits.
We stayed in the Qasar Charugi before taking the 4x4s out to the desert camp. Two days later, as we were driving west, Mohammed, as usual, gave us a recap of the most recent activities.
Yesterday we left the hotel and we came to the fossils, discover how fossils are found in the desert, they're polished and so on and so forth.
Normally we're going to make a small tour here to see the process of what we have here. We're going to see different kind of stones we have here, different kind of fossils embedded inside these kind of rocks. We see the color, the texture, the form.
Yeah, that's natural. That's sedimentation.
After that we went to the city of Risani. Remember, the city with the beautiful gate is called Risani. Risani. And I explained that Risani is like the hometown of the royal family. So the founders of the dynasty, the actual dynasty in Morocco, they are originally from this town, Risani. We also stopped at the mausoleum, the mosque and the mausoleum of the founder of the dynasty, Moulay Ali Sharif. Remember? When you saw the palm trees being cut on the ladder, and the plastic shoes, remember, in front of the mosque?
From other countries, on the way to Marrakesh, Fars, or Tangier, used to stop here. It was a very flourishing city.
Then we went to the Kasbah inside the Ksar.
So this is Aksar. Ksar means a village, a fortified village, or a fortified quarter.
Okay.
And inside you find sometimes just simple houses, just Kasbah with towers.
The Ksar, large quarter. When we saw the house in ruins, with the owner, very tall owner, very tall man. Remember? It was an old small palace.
And the man, the gentleman you see, is part of the family. They still live here. And the house will also be restored. We also benefit from the project of restoration.
And then we went to the house of the lady. So we saw her house and furniture, the kitchen.
Just makes Bisaha. That's what I say. Bisaha.
And after that, we went to the camel ride, experience dromedary ride, not only over the sand dunes but also in the sand wind. And after the dromedary ride, we went to lunch. My lunch was next to the lake. This lake, beautiful lake, it was formed, or it is formed after heavy rain falls, the desert. We call such lakes, we call them Dayat. Daya. Daya is the name of a temporary lake. Yeah. So lake is Daya. But again, water only when it rains. There is lots of rain. Otherwise, during the dry months or in the summer, it's dry. And the river, which is not permanent, there is water only when it rains, like the ones you see from time to time. Here we call them Wadi. Okay, Wadi Daya. And then we went to the desert camp. Then we hiked a little bit to admire the sunset. Some of us also talked to the ladies, you remember, who came to us and tried to show us some of their souvenirs. Yeah.
That one is 40 dirhams.
$4. Yeah. And this one is a big one. And this is a nice one.
filled in.
And then
Inside the
dinner.
Under the skin.
Under the skin.
Like a turkey.
Or if you don't want to put it inside under the skin, you just put the chicken.
But it's small, it's not a giant.
ونقسمهم دابا 4 ساعات تحر شويه ثلث ساعه
So we'll leave it.
ثلث ساعه
And then a bit will be mixed.
I'll turn it.
Yeah.
ومن بعد هادشي عاد البطاطا.
After 15 or 20 minutes cooking, we add potatoes. Susan,
Mohammed,
صباح الخير.
صباح الخير.
سجني صباح الخير.
صباح الخير.
صباح الخير. Gary صباح الخير.
I'm waving.
Here comes breakfast.
Okay, I'm ready.
Yesterday we left the desert camp, walking to the nomadic family where we saw the lady busy with the wool of the camel and the goats and so on. So this is also part of the desert life in Morocco, the nomadic families who still live in the country.
Maybe.
It's illegal to carry a weapon in Morocco. And as we drove from there to the cemetery, to the small cemetery, we saw many other tents, nomadic houses. You remember the houses built just with adobe and the mud. Some of them are still inhabited, some of them are deserted. And we stopped at the cemetery, at the Berber cemetery. And after the stop at the Berber cemetery, we went to the village where we discovered the Gnawa music. The name of the village is Hamliya. The village is special because it is inhabited mostly by Moroccans with black skin. And so there are people who came originally from other countries, African countries, sub-Saharan countries. So they came to Morocco as free people, but many of them came also to Morocco, were brought to Morocco as slaves in the past. So this music is one of the traditions of the village, and it is called the Gnawa music. Gnawa music. Gnawa is from Guinea, Guinea, the country in Guinea. You know when they play the castanets? You know how they play it? How they play it? And this is symbolic. This means also chain hands. And sometimes they put a hat when they play. When they play music, they turn their head like this, around. And in the village we also we saw the small school, you remember, with the children. And the school, they teach them Arabic, they teach them French, and also some Berber language. Then we went to the gas station to discover biscuits and chocolate and women racing cars. Yesterday before lunch, we went to the farm. Interesting about the farm, of course, we all know about the palm trees, about the alfalfa or the beans, but the cumin. So the cumin was interesting, how it is planted, very interesting. And from there we went to lunch in our desert camp. And after lunch we had a break. After the break we went to the fossil, to the site of the fossils. And there we spent a while. So the gorge today, the gorge, where we will discover the gorge, beautiful gorge. The city is called Tinrir, and the valley and the gorge, Tudra.
On our drive to the Tudra Gorge, we made this photo stop.
The name of this gorge is Tudra, and after tomorrow we'll see the gorge of Dadis, and both of them are beautiful. And the height is between 250 and 300 meters, the height. And the rocks, that's sand, stone and limestone, lime and sandstone. The geological era is the Jurassic period.
Along the way, we stopped to see an underground aqueduct or water canalization project.
Show how it is
Before
made,
it's
huh?
long, now a lot of people. Few people lives in the oasis, in Palmeiras, here, Casbah here. The water before, it's a lot of water. It's a water table, it's a lot of water. First wells, after open here in down, the other wells. And if this well gave to this one. After, if now lot of water and lot of people make other one. other wells. other wells. تتابع الضل باش ما يمشيش هكا وهكا.
Underground
And the
water
water table
canalization. And the name is Khatarat. Do you now have an idea?
Yeah.
See how it is?
Yes.
Cool.
Okay.
And before we go down to work from here, from the wells. Yes. But for years we thinking to make these steps. Only 4 years.
The Sahara was different 3,000 years ago. In Morocco. There were elephants, there were giraffes, there were tigers.
Really? Only 3,000.
About 3,000 years.
To bring the buckets up, do you think?
The
Or the dirt when they're building,
when they were tunneling.
when they're tunneling.
Well, that is a lot of work all by hand.
Were made in the 12th century, the oldest ones. The 12th century, 1100.
In the Todra Valley, we visited the Museum of the Oasis. in the Khazar El Korbat.
So each street has a name, and on each street there are a number of houses inhabited by families. They are made up of 4 levels, so 0 ground, the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, and the terrace.
In this Khazar, about half of the houses are still inhabited. In 1920, there were 1,000 of these Khazars in this area. Now, there are fewer than half that number.
Sorry, what's in it? I'm not
What's in that mixture?
Onion, fat, you can see the white, that's fat. Spices,
feta cheese, goat cheese.
no, fat, paprika, fat. This has many names in the Berber language. Huh? Okay, can you see? Everybody?
Very clever.
Yes. That's what we saw in the market, those paddles. They were making them.
Aha. Wow. Ah,
It takes 2 minutes.
look at that. All cooked. All cooked.
We continued on a spectacular drive to see the Dades Gorge. Then we were off to meet the Imam. We learned about wedding customs and had an opportunity to ask questions. And of course, we had tea. On our way to 8 Ben Hadou, we drove through the Valley of Roses. This is a place where pilgrims brought the mother of all flowers, the Damascus rose, initiating the rose industry. Today, there are hundreds of kilometers of rosebush hedges coexisting with other crops, and 2 factories distilling rose essence. 8 Ben Hadou is one of the largest complexes of traditional packed earth buildings in Morocco. It is a designated World Heritage Site and also a widely sought-after location for movies. We climbed up through the town, and several group members made it all the way to the Agadir at the top. The list of movies and shows shot on location here is very impressive.
الاتاي
اتاي
اتاي
الزعفران
الزعفران ده النيله الانديجو
ايه اتاي الزعفران ده دي
So they've got the base already down.
Fate. So this is painted, it is done with indigo, saffron, me? Indigo, saffron, the anti. Indigo, saffron, anti.
One it's tea and yellow it's saffron.
Very
The heat
nice.
fixes the color.
Yes. Same technique.
We went to visit the Sadian tombs. They date from the late 1500s and were built to house members of the Sadian family and their associates. They were sealed off by Moulay Ismail in the 17th century in a vain attempt to condemn the Sadian rulers to oblivion. The tombs were rediscovered in 1917 due to aerial photography done by the French. The main square of Marrakesh is a very active place at night, filled with orange juice stands, food venues, and entertainers. One evening, we took a stroll to see what was on offer. The Majorelle Garden is one of the most visited sites in Morocco. Jacques Majorelle, a French artist, was born in 1886 and moved to Morocco in 1919. He worked on the garden for 40 years, and the blue that he used to decorate became known as Majorelle blue. Soon we were on our way from Marrakesh to Essaouira. We were looking forward to seeing the goats who climb the trees to eat the argan fruit. The pit of the argan fruit is indigestible by the goats, so they spit them out, and they are later collected and used to create argan oil, for which Morocco is famous. Essaouira is well known as a seaside vacation spot. We spent 3 days in Essaouira exploring the port and the Medina.
Where is the port?
More than the fishermen.
From Essaouira, we began our trip back to Casablanca, stopping in Safi for lunch. Then, after a final night in Casablanca, in the same hotel where we started the trip, we made our way home.